Football builds legends. Some players become bigger than their clubs, remembered everywhere the game is spoken. Their names are shorthand for greatness, passed down like myths from one generation to the next. But others, despite winning everything, never fully escape the boundaries of their own fanbase. Their story is sung more in one stadium but whispered everywhere else. Their names unknown, their achievements undeniable, yet they are never spoken about with the same reverence as their peers. This is the story of John Terry, the football legend who nobody wants to talk about. John George Terry was born on December 7th, 1980, in Barking, East London. He was raised in a working class household where football was more than a pastime, it was a way out. Like many young boys in the area, the game became his obsession, his identity, his future. He joined West Ham's youth system, playing originally in midfield, but his destiny lay elsewhere. At the age of 14, he moved across London to Chelsea and slowly transitioned into central defence. At that time, Chelsea were a respectable club, but not the giants that they would later become. They were a team capable of cup runs and moments of flair, but they lacked the consistent winning mentality of United or Arsenal. No one would have known that the teenager's stepping stone into the academy would one day become the embodiment of their transformation.
I was 14 and 15. I was, being talked about as a very good young player and the potential to go on. And then I had a growth spurt from 15 to 16. I was like Bambi on ice. I lost all my balance, my bones were growing, I picked up a couple of injuries, I put on a little bit of weight, puppy fat as they call it. But I just become really gangly and awkward.
By 1998, Terry had made his senior debut. From the start, his qualities were clear. He wasn't the fastest defender, nor the most technically gifted, but he had presence. He read the game superbly, threw his body in front of shots, and led with his voice. Even as a young player, he commanded the back line. By the early 2000s, Chelsea had no doubts. John Terry was their captain in waiting. Then, in 2003, everything changed. Russian billionaire Roman Abramovich bought Chelsea, transforming the club overnight. Big names began to arrive. Didier Drogba, Ian Robin, Peter Cech, Michael Essien. Suddenly, Chelsea had the resources to challenge anyone. Then came Jose Mourinho, declaring himself the special one. Mourinho wanted a team that could suffocate opponents, a team that was tactically disciplined, physically tough, and mentally unbreakable. For that, he needed a leader at the back. He had one in John Terry. Alongside Ricardo Carvalho, and with Makelele sweeping in midfield, Terry anchored a defence that became legendary. 2004-05 season, Chelsea conceded just 15 league goals, a record that still stands. They won their first league title in 50 years. The next season, they retained it. Terry became Mourinho's general on the pitch. He backed orders, organised the line, played through pain. He was the man who threw himself in front of shots, who left matches blooded but not unbroken, who captained by example. Over the years, his medal collection grew to staggering heights. 5 Premier League titles, 5 FA Cups, 3 League Cups, a Europa League, and eventually the Champions League. Individually, he was recognised too. UEFA's best defender 3 times, multiple inclusions in the PFA Team of the Year, England captain. By every measurable standard, Terry was one of the finest defenders of his generation. To understand his greatness, you need to look at how he played. Terry was not the quickest. He did not rely on recovery runs. Instead, he positioned himself so well that he rarely needed to sprint. He cut out passes before they developed, attacking the ball in the air with ferocity and tackled with precision. He was also a threat in the opposition box. Terry scored 41 goals for Chelsea, an incredible number for a centre-back, mostly from headers at set pieces. He had a knack for timing these runs and crashing through defenders. And then there was his bravery. Terry once blocked a shot with his head against Arsenal, almost knocking himself out. He played through broken toes, strained muscles, and even wore a protective mask just to keep playing for his club. But his influence extended beyond the pitch. Teammates often spoke about how he ran the Chelsea dressing room. Young players recalled how Chelsea would pull them aside, offering advice, sometimes stern, sometimes supportive. He led the pre-match huddles. He set the tone in training. He embodied the idea that Chelsea were no longer an afterthought. They were winners. Drogba, Lampard, Cech, all of them credited Terry's voice and leadership as the key to the club's rise. Chelsea's dominance can be charted through Terry's leadership. In 2004-05, they lost just once all season, with Terry the bedrock. In 2009-10, under Carlo Ancelotti, they won the league and FA Cup double, scoring a then record 103 league goals while Terry marshalled the defence. In 2014-15, during Mourinho's second spell, Terry played every single minute of the Premier League campaign as Chelsea lifted the title again. At 34, he proved experience could outlast youth. In 2016-17, under Antonio Conte, Terry's role diminished, but he still lifted his 5th Premier League as captain. When he made his farewell appearance at Stamford Bridge, substituted on in the 26th minute to match his shirt number, the stadium rose in applause. For Chelsea fans, it was the end of an era. But football is not only remembered for triumph, it remembers heartbreak just as clearly. In May 2008, Chelsea reached their first ever Champions League final against Manchester United in Moscow. It was the ultimate stage and the biggest night in the club's history. After extra time, the score was tied. The match would be decided on penalties. Cristiano Ronaldo missed his spot kick for United. Chelsea now had the chance to win. John Terry, the captain, stepped up. The rain poured down as he placed the ball. This was his moment to deliver Chelsea's greatest ever victory. He ran and slipped. The ball struck the post. Chelsea's dream was over. Manchester United lifted the trophy. The image of Terry in tears, sobbing on the Luzhniki Stadium pitch, is one of the most defining photos of the Champions League era. For Chelsea fans, it symbolised his devotion, his willingness to carry the weight of his club. For rival fans, it became endless ammunition the moment the great leader failed. But football offers redemption. In 2012, Chelsea reached the final again, this time against Bayern Munich, in Munich itself. Yet Terry was suspended. Having been sent off in the semi-final against Barcelona, he could not play. Against all odds, Chelsea held on. Drogba equalised, Cech made saves, and then Drogba scored the winning penalty. Chelsea were European champions at last. When the celebrations began, Terry appeared in a full kit, lifting the trophy alongside his teammates. To Chelsea fans, it was fitting. The captain had led them for more than a decade, and this was much his triumph as anyone else. To critics, it was a farce. Full kit Terry became a meme. Either way, Terry was central to both Chelsea's great heartbreak and their greatest triumph. While Terry flourished at Chelsea, his England career was more complicated. Between 2003 and 2012, he won 78 caps and twice wore the armband. He partnered Rio Ferdinand in central defence and was part of England's so-called golden generation, alongside Lampard, Gerrard and Beckham. But the story of that generation was one of failure. At Euro 2004, England impressed, but lost to Portugal on penalties. At the 2006 World Cup in Germany, they again fell to Portugal in the quarterfinals. In 2008, they failed even to qualify for the Euros. And at the 2010 World Cup in South Africa, they were humiliated by Germany, losing 4-1 in the round of 16. Terry himself was at the centre of drama in 2010, when he led what the press called a player revolt against Fabio Capello during the tournament. It was a rare glimpse of how divisive his leadership could be. Some players admired his honesty, others thought he overstepped his role. The truth is, Terry's presence was both commanding and polarising. In a dressing room full of egos and stars, he was never universally loved. His controversies only deepened those divides. For club, Terry won almost everything. For country, he left behind only frustration. And yet, England's failures are not what haunt Terry's legacy, it's his controversies off the pitch. In 2010, newspapers revealed Terry had been involved in an affair with Vanessa Parenseau, the former partner of his ex-teammate Wayne Bridge. The scandal dominated the tabloids. The fallout became symbolic when Bridge refused to shake Terry's hand before a match between Chelsea and Manchester City. The image of rejection travelled worldwide. For many, it destroyed the idea of Terry as a loyal captain. He was stripped of the England captaincy amid the storm, but worse was to come. In 2011, during a match against Queen's Park Rangers, Terry clashed with Anton Ferdinand, brother of his England teammate Rio. Cameras caught the incident. Allegations of racial abuse followed. The case went to court. Terry denied the charge. In 2012, he was acquitted in criminal court, but the Football Association held their own investigation and found him guilty of using racially abusive language. He was fined £220,000 and banned for 4 matches. The consequences were enormous. He lost the England captaincy for good. His relationship with Rio Ferdinand collapsed, and for many fans, his reputation was destroyed forever. This is the paradox of John Terry. On the pitch, captain, leader, legend, a defender who bled for Chelsea, who lifted every trophy, who defined an era. Off the pitch, a man defined by scandal, betrayal, and controversy. Chelsea fans adore him. They remember the tackles, the headers, the trophies. To them, his legacy is untouchable. But outside Stamford Bridge, it's different. For rival fans, Terry is remembered not for his leadership, but for his scandals, shunned by the game, and the wider football world reflects that. Take FIFA, the world's biggest football game. Its icon cards celebrate legends like Ronaldinho, Zidane, and Maldini. Terry's Chelsea teammates Lampard, Drogba, and Cech all appear, but Terry himself, absent. We'll consider debates about the greatest Premier League defenders, Rio Ferdinand, Vidic, Tony Adams, Vincent Kompany. Terry's always mentioned, but always with hesitation. His name comes with a pause, a but. It's as though football collectively decided he's too good to ignore, but too flawed to celebrate. Compare him with his contemporaries, Rio Ferdinand, elegant, composed, a modern defender. Nemanja Vidic, a warrior, fearless, a fan favourite. Vincent Kompany, a leader who symbolised Manchester City's rise. Tony Adams, Arsenal's captain, remembered with affection despite his own troubles. All of them are remembered warmly. Terry, though equally successful, is remembered differently. His greatness is acknowledged, but rarely celebrated. And perhaps that is because his controversies cut deeper. Betrayal, racism. These are not just lapses in discipline, they strike at trust and morality. For many, they overshadow his football. So how do we remember John Terry? Should we talk about the footballer, the leader who lifted Chelsea from nearly men to European champions? Or should we talk about the scandals, the moment that forever stained his reputation? Football has always reflected bigger questions. Can we separate the player from the person? Should greatness on the pitch outweigh fallings off of it? Other figures in sports raise the same dilemma. Luis Suarez, brilliant but infamous. Eric Cantona, a genius who attacked a fan. Diego Maradona, adored despite his chaos. Tiger Woods, idolised despite his scandals. But John Terry feels unique. Unlike Maradona and Cantona, he has never been embraced by the wider football culture. His brilliance is recognised, but not celebrated. His achievements are respected, but not idolised.
Certainly wasn't there. You look at the likes of Lamps and Didier and Hazard, and these guys were here. I was here in terms of ability,
right,
but in terms of giving absolutely everything every day
you were there.
For the football club,
Yeah.
I'm above them.
For Chelsea fans, the answer is simple. He is their greatest captain. The banner still flies, captain, leader, legend. His story is written in blue. For rival fans, the answer is also simple. His brilliance cannot erase his flaws. He will never be remembered with universal affection. And maybe that's what John Terry's career represents. That medals and memories alone do not guarantee respect. That you can win everything and still be shunned. And so, his story forces us to reflect not only on Terry himself, but on how we treat athletes in general. Do we demand perfection of them? Do we allow their human failings to overshadow their craft? Or do we hold them to a higher standard precisely because they are leaders, role models, and heroes to millions? Terry's career sits at that intersection. For every fan who argues we should remember only the football, there's also another who insists we cannot forget the rest, and both positions hold truth. So, as we close the story of a defender who defined an era, who lifted trophy after trophy, who was adored and despised, we are left with one question. Should we celebrate John Terry purely for the player he was, separating the football from the scandals? Or should we accept that in football, as in life, greatness and character cannot be separated? That answer is up to you. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed that video, hit the like button. See you next time.